How's Australia been so far?
Australia's been amazing. I love this. Is like one of my favorite places to come. But this time, I don't know if I'm not that old, 27, but I feel like 1,000 years old. Like I cannot get adjusted to the time. What is it, like 7 now? 7 p.m. It's like 3:30 a.m. in Nashville.
Oh, you're exhausted.
So, I'm dying.
How have you found creatively juggling Halfnoise and Paramore at the same time?
Creatively, it's been fine. Like coming up with like songs and stuff, that's never been an issue. But finding time, like we're in the backstage of like a Paramore, dressing room. So it's like finding time for both has been a challenge, but it's also been like fine, because the schedule is always like really set, like our touring schedule and traveling. And so I kind of know what I'm like, what time I have to slot in things. And so like when we go home from this tour, I have like 4 shows in California that, with the Halfnoise guys. And then we do like another little thing with Paramore, and then we have like a full like Halfnoise tour. So it's like been really at this point able to like balance out.
I wanted to kind of talk about the pop punk scene that Paramore started in. It's really different to the world that Halfnoise sits in. How was your experience like with those two spaces? How's that differed?
Well, I think I learned a lot when I like left the band, It's been really interesting. I've never fully listened to the music that like the genre we were in. It's never really like my forte, but I always loved like playing upbeat, energetic songs on the drums, but it was never like what I fully saw myself making on my own, at least, So when I left the band and kind of like traveled around, I really found out what pocket I kind of fit in or liked, at least, I just kind of naturally would write more like indie rock music, and then really started getting into the Beatles, which I'd never listened to the Beatles ever, which is so, I used to be one of those people that would say like, I hate the Beatles, which is so funny.
No one hates the Beatles.
I know, well, I just said it because I didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
And I was just like, oh, everybody says it like the Beatles. I guess I was trying to be different. But now, like, I'm just like everybody else. They're the best band of all time, so.
You started in Paramore when you were 14. If you could say anything to your 14-year-old self, what would you say?
I don't know. I think I like did an all right job. I would probably just say that, like, I don't know. I've never thought about that, actually. Yeah.
Don't worry about being cool.
Yeah, probably. Just, like, be more yourself. I tend to, like, be kind of a chameleon. Like, with people I'm around, I'll, like, kind of joke like them and turn into them. And so last year, my New Year's resolution to myself was like, be more myself to everybody. Because if you're not yourself, then no one's going to know who you are, So, very deep.
Do you remember how you felt when you first started writing music and fronting up Halfnoise? Because you were obviously drumming for Paramore. How does it feel to come to the front?
It was very, very nerve-wracking. My friends in Nashville were like, we need an opening band for a tour. And I was like, okay, I'll try to think of somebody. And they were like, no, we want you to like do it. And I was like, hell no. I was like, I'm not doing that. And so when the first show we played was like 300 people, and I had to go out there. And I was like, either I'm gonna be able to sing fine, because I like kind of revert to like playing shows and maybe it'll like come back to me, or nothing's gonna come out. And I went up there and like luckily, stuff came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a journey, because like as soon as I sit on the drum kit, it's like second nature to me, because I started playing when I was 9 and started touring when I was 14, like really young, 27 now. So it's been like, I know drumming like the back of my hand. Letting anything come out of my mouth was huge, and then you're like, oh, I have to perform too. So now it's all good. The shows are like some of the most fun, just because we've kind of figured it out. But it's like anything, it takes practice. Every time we play, we learn more. And that's what's cool too. I feel way more confident now, because like Halfnoise is me, and I write a lot of the stuff, or most of it, and I'd sing and kind of spearhead everything. But the band, like the guy who walked me in to, do this interview is the drummer of
Breaking
the
the
band.
third wall here.
Yeah. So he plays drums in Halfnoise. He also plays with us in Paramore, but he's a drummer. And then Logan is a guitar player. I have so much more confidence because it feels more than just me,
People backing you up.
Yeah, and I've always been in like such a, with the, the Paramore world is so awesome, but it's such a like a set in stone, like we kind of know our schedule, we know like what we're doing, and Halfnoise just feels like this really cool, like you can involve anybody you want, you can do, not that we can't with Paramore, and that's kind of, the worlds have kind of become just one, people that play with Paramore play with Halfnoise now, and because we share the same schedule, it just works out, so it's been really cool.
I kind of wanted to touch on your songwriting. I would love for you to kind of walk me through your process. Do you start with melody or chords, or how do you start off with?
Well,
because you're a drummer.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the last thing I do, is Because I think that's all I've done since I was a kid, is like play drums. So I wanted to do something. I wanted to approach this in a different way. It's kind of different, like for the record Sudden Feeling, it was very like get a keyboard, get a vibe, you know, a kind of beachy keyboard part, and then add a loop, a drum thing on it. And it was very like that way. But then when I did the Velvet Face EP, it was like with like Scoobies in the back, stuff like that, was just like wanted to come up with riffs, and I was listening to a lot of Kinks and Beatles and stuff, so that I wanted it to be very like 60s. And then with this new EP, Flowers, it's a kind of a mix of those two things, where there's no really rhyme or reason, it kind of happens. Like sometimes songs will just come to me, or sometimes I have to like work at it a bit. It's been more riffs actually, more guitar and writing stuff on bass, rather than sampling and looping stuff, which I used to do. So.
When does like the melody and the lyrics come through?
Well, it used to be like the very last thing, but now that I'm writing on the guitar, it's like, especially on this Flowers EP, I didn't have my laptop, so I would take these songs on our last tour and like come into a room like this and just be in the guitar and like finish the songs, which I'd never done. I would always like kind of map it out on the computer, like in like Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, and it would be kind of this computerized, you know, like, oh, this is where this goes, and then the bridge, and then the chorus. And here it was just like, I really like, if you can't sit around and grab a guitar and play a song like around a fire or something, or like bonfire, or like around a kitchen table, then I don't know if the song's like a good song. You can play any Beatles song on like just on any instrument, it's good. So I tried to take that approach of like finishing it and like having it as basic as it could be, but also like in the studio, like put all the bells and whistles on it.
What is your personal relationship like with music? Like, where do you find your inspiration from, and what do you kind of strive to convey in your music?
That's a good question. A lot of times I get so sick of music, because I do it all the time, that I just, especially like on tour, like I was looking at my Spotify today because we flew from Melbourne to Sydney. Just like, oh, what should I listen to? And actually like a lot of Australian bands I love. All like the Tame offshoot bands, Pond and Gum, Tame Impala, of course, King Gizzard, Babe Rainbow. That whole kind of like psych scene is like, I love that. You get so like used to hearing music and playing music all points of the day. It's just like a sound check or a drum being hit or someone listening to music. So I've been listening to like really old like dub, like reggae, because it's really like, it's just sounds. But honestly, this is like the worst thing, but I'll literally, I have like an app that's like a noise machine that I listen to instead of music, so I can like sleep. That's nice. Because like
a rain sound?
Yeah, it's actually a fan. It's just like.
I can't fall asleep without a fan sound. So
yeah, you should. Sleep app is what it's called. It's great. It's kind of harder on tour to like want to search for music. So when there's like off time, it's when I feel the most inspired to like go dig into old records or new stuff that I haven't heard before. But I really get inspired by like when I'm just about to go write a record or do something. I try to take in a lot of things first. We're kind of like performing these songs now, and I've kind of just finished that EP with Halfnoise, so I'm not in like the inspiration season, so it's kind of more listening to apps and sleep fans.
Well, the last EP, I noticed there was like people talking in some sections of it, like a sample of people's voices. I think I heard what was a sitar. I don't know if you put that in there, but it was like a really high kind of guitar noise.
On the Velvet Face one with the painting of a face on it.
Yeah, and it might not have been a sitar, was it?
Yeah, I have like this sitar guitar. I don't know what it's just called. It's like a Dan Electro sitar.
That's really cool.
So it's like shaped like a guitar, but it has like this weird body. Sitar. So it's not like a real sitar.
That a Beatles inspiration moment.
Was that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, of course. But yeah, I wanted that to feel very like 60s. I used to like want everything to be very perfect, but I mean, there's like guitars that are out of tune. There's moments where like I was doing like a percussion part and like we lifted up the tambourine to play it. For the longest time I would like cut that out because I'd be like, oh, that's like a mess up. But we would like leave a lot of that stuff in there so it kind of breathes a bit and just kind of feels real. Like you hear someone picking up a tambourine, you hear people talking in the background because it's not perfect in a studio. And I kind of wanted to capture that because Halfnoise, and the more it goes on, it's really just, especially at the shows, it's hard to like explain the shows unless you go to one, but it's really just like a big party. It's just like a lot of fun, and a lot of times we even like, if there's a song we want to play twice, we just play it again just because there's really no rules. It's just kind of like free for all. So I kind of I tried to like capture that. The more and more I record, try to capture that, like it's just like a friend band.
Stories in the back, go tell your friends.
Hey, I'm Zac from Halfnoise, and you're watching Don't Bore Us.